The next morning, the Foundation's office was a whirlwind of activity. The legal team scrambled to prepare the evidence for formal release, while Nicholas held back-to-back meetings to ensure every detail was covered. Jennifer watched the flurry of motion from her desk, her heart heavy with the gravity of the situation, yet lightened by the progress they had made. Dennis appeared at her door as calm and collected as ever. "Jennifer," he said, stepping inside, "Nicholas is holding a meeting in 20 minutes. He wants you there." She nodded, pushing aside the stack of documents she had been reviewing. "I'll be ready." Dennis lingered a moment longer, his voice quiet but sincere. "You've done more for this foundation than anyone could have ever expected," he said. "Nicholas sees it, and so do I. Whatever happens next, you've already proven your worth." Jennifer's throat tightened at his words, her eyes betraying the emotion she fought to keep in check. She managed a small, grateful smile. "Thank you, Dennis. That really means a lot." The meeting was held in the Foundation's largest conference room, where senior staff and key advisors gathered around the long table. Their eyes were fixed on Nicholas as he stood at the head, commanding the room with his presence. "We've uncovered clear evidence," Nicholas began, his voice steady yet firm. "Zoe Castillo and Jared Rivera were working together, with backing from Bruce Patel. Their goal was to undermine everything we've built here, discredit our leadership, and funnel funds into their own pockets." He began to speak slowly, because doing so made him nervous. A murmur rippled through the room, but Nicholas raised a hand, silencing the room with a single gesture. "This will not deter us. Our mission is too important to let them succeed. I've instructed our legal team to proceed with all necessary actions. We'll release a public statement by the end of the day." Jennifer sat quietly, absorbing his words. She could feel the weight of the moment settle over the room like a heavy mantle. The team listened intently, their resolve growing stronger with every passing second. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Nicholas's calm demeanor, despite the severity of the situation, left Jennifer with newfound respect. He had been tested time and time again, yet his resolve remained unshaken. The challenges he had faced had only hardened his determination. She admired his leadership more than ever before. Undeterred, Nicholas scanned the mangled stones outside. As the meeting came to an end, Nicholas motioned for Jennifer to stay behind. When the last of the staff filed out, he turned to her, his expression softening. "You've been at the center of this from the start," he said. "I know it hasn't been easy, but I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you've done." Jennifer hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. "I just did what I thought was right," she said finally, her voice quiet. Nicholas offered a faint smile. "That's what sets you apart, Jennifer. Most people would have walked away, but you stayed. You've shown more courage and integrity than I've seen in a long time." Her heart warmed at his words, but her sense of responsibility only deepened. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice full of quiet determination. "Now," Nicholas said, his gaze steady, "we face whatever comes next together." The afternoon passed in a blur of preparations. By the time the statement had been released to the media, the office had grown eerily quiet. The flurry of activity had subsided, leaving behind an air of tense anticipation. Everyone waited for the public's reaction. Exhausted, Jennifer returned to her desk, unwilling to leave until all the loose ends were tied up. As she packed her things, her phone buzzed with a message from Julia. "Saw the news. Proud of you, Em. Stay strong." Jennifer smiled, her spirits lifting as she quickly typed a response. "Thanks, Julia. I'll call you later." Before she could put the phone away, it buzzed again. This time, it was a call from an unknown number. Her stomach tightened, but she answered. "Hello? Miss Parker," the familiar cold voice said, dripping with disdain. "You've been busy." Jennifer's pulse quickened, but she kept her voice steady. "I don't know who you are, but this needs to stop." "Oh, I don't think so," the voice replied, amusement lacing their tone. "You've made a lot of noise, and people like me don't appreciate noise." "People like you?" Jennifer shot back, anger flaring. "You mean cowards who hide behind threats?" There was a pause, then a mocking chuckle. "You're brave, I'll give you that. But bravery won't protect you. Walk away before it's too late." The line went dead, and Jennifer was left holding the phone, her grip tight, her heart pounding. Anger and fear battled within her, but she took a deep breath, steadying herself. Whoever this was, they wouldn't scare her. She had come too far to back down now. The following morning, Jennifer walked into the office with a sense of quiet determination. Nicholas and Dennis were already waiting, their expressions serious, but their resolve was unmistakable. "We've traced the call," Nicholas said, his voice calm and direct. "It came from a disposable phone linked to Bruce Patel's company." Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. "So, it's him." "It's him," Dennis confirmed, his voice steady. "And we're not letting him off the hook." Nicholas placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his gaze unwavering. "Jennifer, you've played a critical role in uncovering this. I won't let you face this alone. We're taking this to the authorities." Jennifer nodded, her resolve strengthening. Together they would confront whatever came next, and they would face it as a united front, no matter the cost. The courtroom was packed with people, the atmosphere thick with tension. Even the faintest whispers were drowned out by the stillness. Jennifer sat near the front, her hands tightly clasped in her lap, as she focused on the proceedings. Nicholas was seated beside her, his usual commanding presence tempered by quiet resolve. To his right, his legal team was huddled together, their conversations low but intense, their concentration unbroken. The trial against Bruce Patel and Zoe Castillo had captured the media's full attention. Their scheme to undermine the foundation had been laid bare. The evidence Jennifer had uncovered had been crucial in this moment. After weeks of preparation, the truth was finally coming to light. "Miss Parker!" the attorney called, signaling it was her time to take the stand. Jennifer rose, her movements steady despite the nerves that fluttered in her chest. As she walked to the stand, she stole a quick glance at Nicholas, who gave her a subtle nod of encouragement. She took a deep breath, her resolve firming with every step. The questions came fast, each one designed to unravel the depth of the conspiracy. Jennifer answered clearly and confidently, recounting how she had uncovered Jared Rivera's betrayal, as well as Zoe Castillo's role in the scheme. She detailed the threatening phone calls, the falsified documents, and the painstaking effort it took to piece together the evidence. "Did you ever consider walking away?" the defense attorney asked, his tone probing and challenging. Jennifer paused, her mind momentarily slipping back to the moments of fear and uncertainty she had faced. Then, with renewed determination, she straightened. "Yes, I considered it. But I knew what was at stake. The Foundation's mission is too important to abandon, no matter how difficult it got." The attorney seemed satisfied, moving on to the next question. Jennifer's testimony lasted nearly an hour, but it felt like a blur of words and emotions. When she stepped down from the stand, Nicholas was already at her side, his expression one of quiet pride. "Beware exercising your brain," Nicholas said, as everyone fell into a silence around him. "You did well," he said, his voice soft but sincere. "Better than well." Jennifer managed a small smile, her heart still racing from the intensity of the moment. "I just told the truth." "And that's enough," Nicholas replied, giving her shoulder a reassuring brush. "That's more than enough." The trial dragged on for hours, each witness further complicating the web of deception. As closing arguments wrapped up, the weight of the evidence was undeniable. Yet, the waiting for the jury's decision was agonizing. The deliberations stretched late into the evening, improperly solitary at times, and inundated with questions of security. Jennifer paced restlessly through the courthouse corridors, her mind racing in every direction. Nicholas joined her, his calm presence offering a steady anchor in the storm of her thoughts. "You've done everything you could," he said softly. "Now we just let the system do its work." "I know," Jennifer replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's hard not to worry." Nicholas nodded, his gaze distant. "It is. But no matter what happens, you've shown courage beyond what anyone could have expected. That's something that won't be forgotten." Hours later, the jury returned with a swift, decisive verdict: guilty on all counts. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as the judge read the sentences. Bruce Patel was sentenced to years in prison, and Zoe Castillo faced a hefty fine, along with a ban from nonprofit roles. When the gavel fell, a rush of relief flooded Jennifer. Justice had been served. She turned toward Nicholas, who stood still, watching the proceedings with satisfaction and quiet contemplation. "You did it," she said softly. "No," he corrected, his gaze meeting hers. "We did it. This was never just about me." Outside the courthouse, the media quickly surrounded them, questions coming at them fast and furious. Nicholas handled the reporters with his usual poise, emphasizing the Foundation's unwavering commitment to transparency and integrity. Jennifer remained in the background, content to let Nicholas take the lead. When the crowd dispersed, he turned toward her, a faint smile curving his lips. "You should be proud," he said. "None of this would have been possible without you." "I couldn't have done it alone," Jennifer replied, her voice steady. "And I wouldn't have wanted to." Nicholas nodded, a thoughtful look crossing his face. "Sometimes it takes a team, and sometimes it takes someone with the courage to stand for what's right. You've been both." As they returned to the Foundation's headquarters, a deep sense of closure settled over Jennifer. The challenges they had faced were monumental, but together they had emerged stronger. Their mission had endured, and they were ready to rebuild and move forward. Jennifer let herself breathe deeply, the weight of the ordeal finally beginning to lift. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to pause and reflect. The journey that had brought her here had been unpredictable, filled with moments of doubt and fear. She had entered this world as an outsider, uncertain of her place. But now she knew where she stood, not because of her achievements, but because of the principles she had upheld. Her phone buzzed, a message from Julia lighting up the screen. "You're amazing, Em. Never forget that." A smile tugged at Jennifer's lips, her heart swelling with gratitude. Despite all the trials she had endured, she had discovered a strength she never knew she had. And with that strength, she had found a purpose that would guide her forward, no matter the challenges that might come. The weeks that followed the trial were a period of both relief and reflection. Finally, the Foundation could turn its focus back to the work that truly mattered, its ongoing projects and the communities it served. The team, once torn by conflict and uncertainty, now operated with a renewed sense of purpose. Amidst this progress, Jennifer found herself drawn to something more personal. One afternoon, as she sifted through a pile of files, her eyes landed on a familiar folder labeled Tyringham. It contained proposals she had worked on during the early days of her time at the Foundation. The document outlined plans for a rural clinic in her hometown. When she had first written the proposal, it had seemed like a distant hope, overshadowed by all the turmoil she had faced. But now, with the chaos behind her, the vision felt more attainable, like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Later that day, Jennifer took the proposal to Nicholas. He was seated at his desk, reviewing a report. He looked up as she entered, offering a small smile that softened his otherwise serious demeanor. "Jennifer," he greeted, motioning for her to sit. "What brings you in?" She placed the folder gently on his desk, her fingers brushing the cover as though she were reluctant to let it go. "I wanted to revisit this," she said quietly. "It's a proposal to reopen the clinic in Tyringham. I know it's not as large as some of the other projects we've been working on, but I believe it could really make a difference in the community." Nicholas picked up the folder, flipping through its pages thoughtfully. "Tyringham," he murmured, glancing up at her. "Your hometown?" Jennifer nodded, her eyes a little distant as she spoke. "It's where I first learned what it truly means to care for others. It's where I saw the impact of a lack of resources. I think this is something we need to do." Nicholas leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on her, his gaze steady and supportive. "You've been the heart of this foundation, Jennifer. If this is where your heart is, I'll back it." Her chest tightened, her breath catching at his words. She hadn't realized how much they would mean to her until now. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "That means more to me than I can express." Sarah sighed. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity, filled with planning, organizing, and reconnecting. Jennifer poured her energy into the project, reaching out to old friends and acquaintances in Tyringham. The town was buzzing with excitement, a reminder of the good that could come from even the smallest spark of hope. One afternoon, standing at the steps of the long-abandoned clinic, Jennifer found herself lost in memories. The peeling paint and cracked windows seemed to mock the vivid recollections she had of the place. This clinic had once been a lifeline for so many, and in her mind, she could almost hear her mother's voice, urging her to dream bigger, to look beyond their small town. "Earth to Jennifer," came a voice, breaking through her reverie. She turned to find Nicholas standing behind her, hands tucked casually in his coat pockets. "Just reminiscing," she said, offering a smile tinged with nostalgia. "It's strange to think how much this place shaped who I am." Nicholas moved closer, his gaze drifting toward the old building with her. "It's not strange at all," he said softly. "The places that shape us always stay with us, no matter how far we go." Jennifer nodded, his words hitting a deep chord within her. "Thank you for being here," she said, her voice full of sincerity. "I wasn't sure if you'd have time for this." Nicholas smirked slightly. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Together, they spent the afternoon touring the site, discussing plans for the renovation and potential partnerships. Nicholas's contributions were thoughtful, grounded, and deeply respectful. He listened intently, allowing Jennifer to take the lead in every aspect of the process. As the sun began to set, casting warm shades of gold and pink over the town, Jennifer turned to Nicholas. Her voice was quiet, yet full of determination. "I've always wanted to make a difference here, to give back." Nicholas met her gaze, his expression hard to read, but it softened with time. "You already have, Jennifer, more than you realize." His words lingered with her long after he had gone. They affirmed everything she had been working toward. The clinic, once a distant dream, was slowly but surely becoming a reality. By the time Jennifer returned to the city, the plans were well in motion. The foundation's resources had given her a solid start, but Jennifer worked tirelessly to secure additional funding from local donors. With each small victory, she moved closer to realizing the dream she had cherished for so long. One evening, while reviewing the blueprints for the clinic's renovation, Jennifer's phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Julia. "Saw the news about the clinic. You're amazing, Em. So proud of you." A smile tugged at Jennifer's lips as she typed her reply. "It's a team effort. I couldn't have done it without people like you." She placed her phone back down, her gaze lingering on the blueprints. The clinic wasn't just a building. It was a symbol. It represented everything she had fought for: perseverance, hope, and the belief that small actions could lead to lasting, meaningful change. The restoration of the Tyringham Clinic began with an outpouring of support from the community. The old building, worn and weathered, stood as a testament to the town's trials and its enduring spirit. Jennifer stood on the sidewalk, clipboard in hand, as the work crews arrived on a brisk Monday morning. Trucks unloaded tools and materials, and with every load, her vision of a new beginning for the clinic inched closer to reality. Despite having meticulously planned every detail, seeing the transformation unfold before her eyes filled her with a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. A familiar, cheerful voice interrupted her thoughts. "Jennifer, there you are." She turned to see Mrs. Katie, her former landlord, bundled in a thick coat and holding a plate of homemade cookies. "I thought the workers might need some snacks," Mrs. Katie said with a smile, her eyes warm, "and I figured you could use a little encouragement too." Jennifer felt a lump form in her throat as she accepted the plate. "Mrs. Katie, you didn't have to." "Nonsense," Mrs. Katie insisted. "This clinic means as much to us as it does to you. It's time Tyringham had something to be proud of again." Her words hit Jennifer like a wave, and for the first time, she fully understood the weight of what they were all building together. She had always known the clinic was important, but hearing it from someone who had seen the hardships of the town made it all the more profound. "Thank you," Jennifer said, her voice thick with emotion. "I won't let you down." Over the next few days, Jennifer found herself juggling the complex demands of overseeing the restoration while coordinating with local leaders. Nora Lambert, the pragmatic mayor, quickly became one of her most reliable allies. Together, they worked tirelessly to secure additional funding and ensure that the clinic would meet the community's growing needs. "This isn't just about health care," Mayor Lambert remarked one afternoon as they reviewed the budget. "It's about reminding people that Tyringham is worth investing in. You've given us something to believe in again." Jennifer smiled, but the weight of Nora's words settled heavily on her heart. "It's not just me," Jennifer replied. "It's everyone who's pitched in to make this happen." As the days turned into weeks, the project presented its share of challenges. The scale of the renovation was greater than Jennifer had anticipated, and unexpected delays with equipment shipments and structural repairs increased the costs. But Jennifer met each obstacle head-on, her determination unwavering. She spent countless nights drafting proposals, writing grant applications, and brainstorming solutions to keep the project moving forward. One late evening, as she reviewed financial reports in her office, she heard a familiar knock at the door. "Still at it," Nicholas's voice called, his tone softening the seriousness of his usual demeanor. Jennifer looked up and nodded. "There's always more to do." Nicholas stepped into the room, leaning casually against her desk. "You're doing more than enough," he said sincerely. "Tyringham is lucky to have you." His simple but heartfelt words offered Jennifer the reassurance she needed. Together, they navigated the project's many challenges, each step forward reinforcing their shared commitment to the clinic and the community. Jennifer knew the road ahead would be filled with more obstacles, but with the support of the town and Nicholas by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. Delays in shipments, unforeseen repairs, and tight budgets challenged Jennifer's patience at every turn. Doubt crept into her thoughts now and then, testing her resolve. But she reminded herself, time and time again, of the reasons she had embarked on this journey in the first place.